Welcome in, everyone, to the Challenge Aftershow. Tonight, Jenna and I are talking about All-Stars Season 3, the finale, Part 2, Coming for the Crown. That's what it was called, Jenna.
Coming for the Crown. I give up on the episode titles. You know them. I never pay attention to them. I never have any opinions on them. I know that they have to be creative and make them, but...
Well, speaking of paying attention and being creative, y'all should check out our Patreon at patreon.com/thechallengeaftershow because we're putting up new content every week there. There's a link right down here in the subscription area. So just click it and then subscribe for $1 and then watch bonus content on all your favorite challenge related stuff.
What are we going to talk about this week on our Patreon, Dan?
Well, I was thinking about putting up the CBS USA show over that way this week. And then after that, maybe going to YouTube for the rest of the weeks, then putting something else over there. So we'll figure it out. I'm thinking because CBS, the show's airing tonight on the USA Challenge tonight.
And we talked about it this weekend. Dan texted us a link to a little sneak peek, if you guys saw it, about how the point system, how everything's going to work, the format of that show. And I was a hater at first. I thought this is the fake challenge. I'm not going to watch this show, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I mean, TJ is still there. Maybe it'll be fresh and fun, and maybe the competitors will be really good. And hopefully I can kind of disassociate it from the regular MTV show. But at the same time, we've been complaining about the MTV show now for 5 years. So right. I have to let go of what the past was and just ride this wave. So our girl from X on the Beach season 5 that we also covered on our Patreon and on our YouTube is Kira. Remember Kira? She dated David or whatever. And they're supposedly moved in real life. We'll have to see if she ever mentions David on the new CBS show. But maybe she does. And anyways, they showed her in another clip, climbing down the side of a building. So there's something. But the way the point system works, this is good. You get a bank account of $1,000. But in order to qualify for the final, as you know, Jenna, you have to get $5,000. So, and you get the money by winning daily challenges and going into eliminations. I thought that was a really fun way to get people motivated instead of trying to skate by all season. So this is new, and I think it's a fun new rule. And I was very interested and impressed by it. I was like, oh, this could make it even more fun. But I don't know I don't know half or 3/4 of these players. I know some of them, not many. So that part got me excited because I think it's going to be a lot more competition based, which is nice. Instead of just relying on what you're saying, maybe people flying under the radar, using social skills, using alliances. You have to win competitions and you have to win eliminations, which was what we love. It's at the heart of the challenge. But I'm also excited because I actually do know a few people. So I never really watched Big Brother, but when I lived with a few friends 2 years ago, one of my friends was a huge fan. So we did a Big Brother fantasy pool, and that got me invested in that season, the season with the cookout, the one that just passed. So we have Kyland on there, Alyssa, and Tiffany. So a few people from that season are on this season of the challenge. So that got me excited. I was like, oh, I know these people. Let's see how they fare in my world, not in their world. I watched them Big Brother. Now they're coming into the challenge, which is our favorite show. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind a few of the OG challengers just popping up and calling people out or stirring up drama, or maybe coming in as a mercenary just for one thing to eliminate people, not to necessarily stay on the show, because I don't think they want to do that type of. They want them to. What's going to happen, I think, is in season 38 that's coming up. I think the winner of them, they're going to take on maybe the winners of USA and then a bunch of other ones on the Paramount Plus umbrella, all the bonus one where it's going to be the world. They go all against each other in the world or something. I think later.
Do they ultimately go against challengers from MTV World?
Well, that's what I think they're going to go. I don't know this for sure, but I think the winners of 38 and maybe other winners from other seasons, plus the winners of USA, winners of I don't know, Uruguay, winners of South Africa, wherever the hell they're all going to be competing. They're all going to join in for one, they're going to be 32 competitors or 28 competitors. And then they're going to do a world one where there's going to be the ultimate challenge champion. But I don't think it's going to premiere for probably another couple years because they got to have all these other ones air first.
A couple of years, goddamn.
I know. Well, they're really
pushing these out.
They're trying to do something different because 36 and 37 of the challenge on MTV were not great. And by not great, I mean sucked for me.
Truth. However, I almost feel they're just robbing another show. Like now primetime CBS has robbed what was once an MTV staple. So the reason I'm being optimistic about it is because of the opportunity of having the OGs come on and compete these people, you know, like mixing in the regular MTV people. But if that doesn't happen, then it just feels like, oh, this is kind of weird.
I mean,
so
they
now you
can't,
have a
in
separate
theory,
version?
it's supposed to be just CBS reality stars. So in theory, the MTV stars on the original show should not be on this USA show. But who the hell knows? Did we ever expect that CBS to have literally, they brought TJ in on purpose. They could have anyone host this damn thing. They brought TJ in on purpose. They're trying to get people from MTV that watch it to come over and watch on CBS, which is like a network show versus like a basic or a cable show. There's like a bigger, in theory, a bigger audience, right? Mm. I don't know, whatever. So anyways, but you know what we were not robbed by tonight while talking about All-Stars 3, we were not robbed of a bad final. I like the final a lot. I know you have your comments on it, your overall thoughts, but I really enjoyed it. And I tried to find conspiracies because you know me, I went back and rewatched things.
So you're looking for them because that seems a little bit shady. If you just see them and you feel like they're real, then that's fair.
There was one that I thought
for them, then you're a little tinsel hatty.
No, because there's things that if you just brush it over and watch the show, you could miss stuff. I think it's important to like really think about each different segment and say, well, was there anything shady in each one of these moments? And I even went back and checked in on one, which was after they did the kayaking. And all of a sudden they just showed them there and they all had their partners. But I went back and rewatched it because I said, how the heck did John A get to be with Kayla? Because if John A went against Nia would have destroyed any of these girls. So I'm like, how did it work? And real quick, because I rewatched it, you hear TJ say in the background, you don't even see him say, just pick your post. He does say that. So whoever got there first got to pick their post. And that's how it all worked out. So there was no conspiracy there. There's no shadiness there. It was legit. And I added up all the points each time. It all worked out perfect. So because All-Stars 2, there was so much shadiness to me and so many conspiracies. All-Stars 3, I thought it was as fair as a final can be. I thought that's what the final was. And we'll get into how the point system worked too, because I have some stuff on that, but it felt fair, and as fair as it could possibly be, it felt fair finally. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, about fairness, I still go back to my thought about what Wes had told us too, is that when making the final, it almost doesn't even feel like the fairest platform to find out who the truest, best competitor is. And I feel that way about the partners, just because when you're running with a certain partner, you're also, you're hinging on their weaknesses. So I don't love the partner thing. I don't really know if I know the solution, because every man for themselves in this sort of situation would have been so many people, so many individuals. I guess they could have
you got your every man and every woman for yourself at the end of this one, though. You did get a solo run, which is, I was like, oh, Jenna's gonna like this. This is what Jenna wanted, was a solo run. I don't want to say I beg everybody, but I really encourage everybody to go back and watch our interview with Wes that's on our YouTube channel. And then the other half is on our Patreon, which you can get for $1 a month. And Wes had already been a part of All-Stars 3. And as we know now, he had already won All-Stars 3 when he did that interview with us. And the things that he says, if you go back and watch our interview with him, it all makes sense to him and how he performed in All-Stars 3. It's really like interesting. So like, that's a really great interview to watch on, because he couldn't tell us he did All-Stars 3. You even asked him about it. He's like, and his response was, I don't know what you're talking about.
That was the biggest takeaway. And you know that they have to kind of say that, but his poker face was so good that I felt like I disrespected him by asking him. Like, I almost felt like I offended him. He was like, what?
No, but he has to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And he understood what was going on. He wasn't like mad. Yeah.
But we're so used to Wes's personality now that I was looking for at any point of a smirk of sarcasm, and the way he was so stone cold about it, I was like, oh shit, my bad. Like, I just wanted to know if you were on All-Stars 3. And he was like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so good. So good.
But how funny. I mean, and speaking of overall thoughts, my overall thoughts really are like, how deserving is Wes for this final? He was in such incredible shape. He kicked everybody's asses. The way that he ate the food was just it's so impressive to watch, considering what they had to eat was disgusting, like through the roof. One of the most disgusting meals that I've ever seen them have to eat. Yeah. And He removed his soul, right? He
Yep,
removed
we
his
talked about
soul.
that off air. That's our off air show. We talked about
Got it
that.
done. Mhm.
And I will say this, not only did he perform great, but all of his commentary throughout this entire finals and the entire season, you're going to survive me saying this, was absolutely fantastic. This guy just knows how to create a character around himself and entertain us in what he does. And that is what's lost on the other challenges. So not only did Wes bring himself in peak condition physically and mentally, but he also commentary wise brought himself in peak condition with all of his lines. Some of them I'm sure he kind of practiced beforehand. Others he's great. How good was the improv during when he ate? He goes, you guys make sure you eat a brain here. Maybe you'll be able to solve the puzzles later. He's hating on them not being as good at puzzles as he is. The confidence, the cockiness, whatever you want to call it, it's a must watch with him as far as I'm concerned.
He's bringing that personality back is what we've been lacking in some of these seasons.
Even some of the stuff Brad was saying, like there's multiple people, like if it was just Wes, that's great. It's enough commentary. It's enough comedy for me, but Brad had some great one-liners tonight. I mean, it's
also Nia. I think that should not be lost. I thought Nia, I mean, you can say whatever you want about how she performed in the daily challenges and the bulk of the season before the final, but she impressed me in the final. I mean, sadly, until the food element, which again, I've said this in the past, I don't think I could do it. So if someone is gonna suck at the food and that's where they fall flat, I'm almost like, I get it. But I also think her commentary throughout the whole season, I was laughing, I was giggling. She was one of the ones who had me like the most enthralled in her confessionals.
Yeah, her line because she was in the kayak with Wes tonight, and she's like, well, I know I'm not doing great right now, but I know Wes won't say anything to me because he doesn't want that heat. I mean, that's great stuff. We're not getting that with these other with the other show. And like I said, we got to wait till 38. Because there's so many people coming in. Someone in our comment section on our Patreon wrote, hey, you guys didn't bring up that Bananas and Nani are going to be a team too. They're on the list. So it's like, that's another great group to watch. And if you haven't seen our 38 breakdown of all of the partnerships, go check it out on our Patreon again, because it's all there. And there's some really intriguing storylines that could happen because of those partnerships. I won't give anything else away. So if you want to watch it, it's on our Patreon.
It's all there. Do we want to start breaking down the final?
Let's start breaking it down. I wanted to say one more thing. If they do an what's that?
Top 2 bottom. Anyway, continue.
I just want to say All-Star Season 4, if they do decide to do it, they've hyped this one up where you have to make it to a final. So I was thinking, is the next one you have to have won a final? I thought that could be cool.
Well, I'm also just dying about All-Stars 4. Yes, I want it. And I'm sure it would go into production quick enough that it's not like people are going to age another 20 years and fall out of shape. But it is like, we're starting to see people suffer from getting older in some ways. You know, Darrell, I think, is starting to finally feel that muscle soreness. Brad's legs are cramping. Derek maybe is not as much as the young gun dog as he used to be. So that's great for them. And I'm sure they're in way better shape than I am, even with them being older than me. However, it still is funny to think like, damn, you're coming back again. You're coming back again. How many years you still got?
But you know what I realized, Jenna, is in the other show, 38, 37, 36, whatever you want to call it, I get mad at the amount of puzzles that there are because I think it's boring. It's not great TV. But when you have the right people on the show, they can even make the puzzles interesting. So yeah, I don't want a game with all puzzles. I want them to have to do more physical stuff. But like you said, they're older, so they can't do as much because they're all getting hurt. We saw 4 girls go home, 3 due to injuries. Like, we can't have that every season. They are getting older. But when you have the right cast, they can get away with doing more puzzles because they were still so damn entertaining, even with the puzzles, because of the personalities. So I don't mind it as much in All Stars.
And it depends on the puzzle too. So for example, tonight we saw one puzzle that they did on the beach that was like plucking together 5 pieces. It's not interesting to watch. It's not engaging. The building of the blocks was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And in a few challenges ago, when they did have to again, build another contraption, and Ronnie was missing a piece and Kellyanne's fell down. Those were interesting puzzles. The crossword puzzle tonight, I went into it thinking, what horse shit? Like,
Right.
this is how they're gonna throw someone off in the final. Are you serious?
Yep.
Like, do something endurance, do something physical. But I ended up loving that crosswords puzzle.
It was and it's
phenomenal.
because of a couple things. It's because of the guys being so nervous that they were messing up very simply spelled words, simply spelled words, but also you have to look at simply, but also Wes's commentary on it, and even Brad's commentary on it was hilarious too. So you have those guys that can bring it in the confessional area that other seasons they can't do it, but these guys, these all-stars, they're all-stars for a reason. They can make something like a crossword puzzle so goddamn entertaining and had me laughing so much. Stacy goes, she heard me this morning because I watched it this morning and she was getting ready for work. She goes, yeah, I heard you watching the show. You were out loud, like yelling things. I'm like, that's called the final. And it's called good. Like, these guys were bringing it. Like, I was laughing. I was screaming at the TV. I'm like, that's what happens when you get a final with like good people that you want, that you're actually rooting for. So
yeah, but I also think the game lent itself to that too. Like, that particular crossword puzzle had the elements to bring in humor, or also it was more of a mind game than just like plugging in, like we're watching them put 5 shapes together. It has something else there where they're spelling, they have to remember past challenges, past final locations, countries, the confusion between countries and states
100%.
and continents. It's just your mind.
And capitals. Yeah, and capitals, right.
Spelling Z's and S's.
Yeah, Z's and S's. All right, so we pick up at checkpoint 3 where they have to do the tandem kayak. And so I figured out the point system a little bit better this time. So when you do your teamwork thing, the first place team gets 4, then it goes 3, then it goes 2, then it goes 1. And then when you get to the end, it's either you get, for the elimination portion of it, the mini elimination, which is what Wes called it, and kind of what we referred to it as last week, you get either 5 points or goose egg. That's it. That's how it works. So really, to me, Car Lives, the important thing is winning the elimination part. Because yeah, you get 1 point or 2 points, that sucks. But then if you win the elimination, you're still at either 7 points or 6 points for that leg of the race. So I think the more important thing is that checkpoint part. Yeah. The more important thing is the elimination part of the checkpoint, not the team part.
Yeah, absolutely. But I still wonder if it needed to be with partners. Was the partner part necessary? If it's an all-out race to get to the next checkpoint, why not make it individual?
I think producers were concerned that Wes was going to win every single race no matter what. Therefore, if he got 4 points every time, he would have destroyed everybody instead of just basically winning, versus him having an anchor hold him back. Not to say that Nia was the reason. I don't really it's hard to tell who was the issue in the kayak there, because they did get last place. But that obviously only let him have 1 point, and then he had to go up against, was it Brad in the King of the Hill on the dock? He only got 1 point for that entire leg of the race, and he admitted, and funny enough, I wrote it down, he was still in the lead by 1 point after he lost that first leg to Nehemiah. So
yeah, so that absolutely contributed to the entertainment value of seeing the score start to even. So I did. That kayak part was like very instrumental in that, because Kayla gets 1 point above Nia, even though Nia was in second place, right behind Jonna. So Nia and Wes coming in last place was really helpful for the rest of the competitors.
Right.
And
Kellyanne got
Mark
first.
And Mark and Kellyanne, the fucking underdogs with no points in this whole final, finally started to show some sign of life in that moment, and almost maybe got me a little bit excited, although I had kind of started to rule her out, and sadly this final did not go her way. And biasly of that I was annoyed at, but
yeah, she finally wins, right? She finally wins a leg of this checkpoint 3, the first leg of it, and she gets her 4 points. Now, if she can win the King of the Hill or the Queen of the Hill, but randomly Nia stood next to her instead of, and then she's like, you're not gonna beat Nia. And Nia came in last. So the other 2 girls, Jonna and Kayla, they chose to, or I guess I should say, Kayla chose to go against Jonna, and then Nia just shows up and Kellyanne's there with no one next to her on that post. So she just goes and stands next to her at the post.
Okay, so did you clearly see them go standing next to posts?
I even heard TJ, because I rewatched it, like I said at the beginning of this episode, TJ says, pick your post. When people started to come up on the beach, pick whatever post you want. So it wasn't that whatever you finished in, whatever order, then you got like first goes against fourth and 2 go against 3. It was just pick a post. And Kellyanne got there first, and the other 2 girls are there. So when Nia showed up, she just went and stood by. She had no choice. Nia just went and stood next to Kellyanne. She was the only option for her. And then Wes's only choice was Brad.
Before we get into King of the Hill, because I want to talk about that for multiple reasons, because it was just like pretty much a slaughter for all of those competitions. Yep. Did you notice, and if you didn't, commenters, let me know if you noticed this, after the kayak race, they show the point system and everybody's math is correct. So Kellyanne and Mark come in first. So they get 4 points added to their previous score. Yep. Previously, Kellyanne had 5 points. So after this one, what does she have?
9.
Good, we're good at this. So Mark, who had 3 points, what should he have? 7.
There's 8, your controversy.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He should have 7, but
he had.
All they did was mess up the graphic because they fixed it for the second one. But I cannot believe they missed this.
Okay, so you're totally right.
Point as
I wrote 12. Down 12. Yeah,
he has 12 points according to the graphics, and I was like, what?
But they did go and fix it.
So it's not that they fixed it; they just kept it the same. So when he ends up winning King of the Hill, it's still 12 points. But they had it. They jumped
the gun. So technically we kind of knew Mark already won. I think they put it up too soon.
Right. So I just thought they did a glitch in the graphic, and my husband was like, no.
Not that we really thought Nehemiah was going to beat Mark anyway, but there's a spoiler within the episode. Jenna, you figured out. See, there is something there.
Well, I just realized that it was fucked up because I was like, how the hell does Mark have 12 points? Because I was so proud of Brad for digging himself up out of the ground. Because remember, this man at one point had like 2 points, 5 points. Yeah. He inched his way along, and now he's at 16. Nehemiah has 18 and Wes has 19. So he's right up in there right after the kayaks. And then I'm like, well, how in the hell does Mark have 12?
Wait, like, but Brad, so Brad had 16 after he won and after the kayak race, correct?
I think just after the kayak race.
No, because he had 9 going into the kayak race, 9, and then he got what, 3rd place or 3rd, 9.
Right. So they messed up his graphics.
They messed up. They literally gave away that Brad and Mark won. They fucked up they messed up the guy's side because Nehemiah and Wes at the end of the challenge had 19 and 18. They messed up. They showed it to us too early because the girls were fine, I think.
No, you're right. Yeah,
well, 15.
Lost, so he has 19. Yeah.
Oh no, the girls they have. Maybe I wrote it. You know what? I might have wrote it down too late then because the girls originally Johnny had 15, and then after this she had 22. So 15. She came in like I don't know, maybe.
So after the kayak she had 17, so that's right. So she gets 5 points for winning.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Then she won and got 5 more. There you go.
So they just repeated the guy side. They copied and pasted that.
Whoops.
Quentin did not fix the numbers.
So I will say this though.
Yeah.
I've been giving John A. Let's talk about Queen of the Hill right now. I've been giving John A crap all season. I think that she's a puzzle-based challenger. I'm not giving her enough credit on the physical side of things. I went in there saying, oh yes, Kayla, she's going to get a nice win here against John A because it's Kayla versus John A. I think Kayla's got a bigger set, whatever. And John A mopped the floor with Kayla. That was Kayla's elimination to win there. And she didn't even get close as far as what I saw. So I'm giving John A 100% props here. I'm not going to say I'm team John A where I'm not going to root for her every season she's on again, but I will say I respect her as a competitor now because it's not just puzzle based for me with her. She can do more. And I was impressed by her running tonight. I thought she did a really good job and she had the endurance that I want to see.
Endurance. So it's funny you say that about John A and Kayla, because I was surprised that John A won only because it looks like she started with such bad footing and such bad strategy. Like straight out the gate of that elimination of Queen of the Hill, Kayla and John A, I was like, what? is Jonna doing? Like, she was getting smushed in her head and her body. Like, Kayla at least looked like she had watched a football game one time. Like, she was taking Jonna by her life vest, pushing her, like doing a little bit of the Oklahoma drill, doing something. Jonna was just like this. And then Jonna ended up winning, which I was so happy about, because I feel like Kayla just needs to get tussled around a little bit. Like, she was pissing me off this episode. I feel like her bark is bigger than her bite at some points. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like she still needs to be humbled from time to time, honestly, in the game. Like,
Yeah,
in the
and
game, in the world of the challenge, I feel like she's really I was glad basically that Jonna handed it to her in this one.
I wrote down everybody's weaknesses after the show ended, because I was like, did the right people win? Did the right people deserve to win? And I wrote down everybody's weaknesses. And I said, yep, this season, I agree with who won the final. I didn't believe that anyone else should have won. Because in season 1, it was Yes versus Darrell. And then for the girls, I think it was Kellyanne versus Jonna. And a part of me was like, I really thought that Yes did deserve to win, but as far as the girls, I'm not even sure. They only had one winner in season 1, so they just had the girls tied for third or something like that. I was like, well, who deserved to win more, Kellyanne or Jonna? Like, they just had them third place finishers. And then All Stars 2, there's all that controversy, so I don't really necessarily agree with who won. But then this one, I'm like, no, this feels like the right people won. They deserve to win, I guess is my point.
Yeah, completely agree. So King of the Hill, though, I was so stoked because this is just one of the throwbacks, and I didn't realize this was a really fun bit that we got to learn, that it was TJ's first game that he ever hosted as the host of the challenge. Phenomenal. So such a good throwback. And I'm thinking, like, yes, I love these really simple, no frills, just one-on-one physical challenges. We're not putting smoke in the air. We're not flying on drones. It's just like, who's stronger, who's going to win. They were all really quick. So I guess you could make the argument they were maybe underwhelming, but I still loved them. Like, I still loved seeing, and again, I think Wes is amazing and he deserved to win, but I was happy that Brad beat him in it. I felt like that was fun to watch him kind of get handled in that way, because I'm obviously a fan of Brad and Team Brad. So I was glad that he got that notch under his belt.
Yeah, Brad is just a bulkier dude. Wes is really fit and trim. Brad's like a moose. Like, you're just not going to move him. I don't know how you move. So you bump really into him, bounce off.
And Wes has that cockiness. So sometimes it's fun to see people who are really cocky and arrogant get shut up in a very physical challenge, like similar to Kayla. I feel like Kayla puffs herself up a lot. So it's good to be like, sit down. You know,
yeah, so
you're not always all that.
That full round of Kayak to King of the Hill was a huge loss for Wes coming into this part 2 of the season. I'm like, oh, wow, well, this is a lot closer than I think now, because like we said, Wes has 19. Or no. Wes at the end. Oh, no, that's at the end of because we have another mini checkpoint coming up in a second here. Yeah, Wes had 19, Nehemiah had 18, and Brad had 16. I mean, they're all right there. Even Mark had 12. I mean, they're all right there. And then same for the top 3 girls, at least. It was 22, 19, and 15. It was all right there.
Tell me why during King of the Hill, I thought Nehemiah could give Mark a fight. Like, why did I think maybe Nehemiah was going to win this?
Because Nehemiah had he had such a great first day. We were impressed by his kayaking skills on a non-kayak with using one oar that wasn't meant to be a kayak. We were impressed by him beating Derek recently, and that gave him gave him the extra 5 points going in. But I'll get to Nehemiah in a little bit. All his weaknesses came to the surface, and eventually he's not going to win a final. He doesn't. He has too many weaknesses.
Mark is who Mark is, it's like, who really was going to beat Mark in that?
He's huge.
Probably no one, but like, I guess left side of the brain, right side, I don't know, I just blacked out in that moment. I was like, oh, Mark and Nehemiah, this should be a good one. And then it was like, roll over, child. Like, yeah. Mark is huge. He's so much taller and bigger than everybody there.
Well, speaking of Nehemiah next, we get to the checkpoint. I don't even know if they call it checkpoint 4, but it's like the last checkpoint of the day. And they have to carry 100 pounds of sandbags to the beach where there's more sand, as TJ makes that joke. And
I'm also thinking, oh, Wes, sandbags. You love sandbagging challenges, so you should be really good at this.
And so basically, Nehemiah and Kellyanne are the only ones to say, let's make 2 trips. And everyone else tries to do it in 1 trip. And that comes to bite Nehemiah and Kellyanne in the ass. And obviously everyone else did it in one trip.
It's one of those things that in hindsight, you can so easily look at and be like, what were you guys thinking? But at the same time, you get there and in their defense, you're thinking like, how are we gonna outdo everybody? Like sometimes doing the craziest different strategy does work in your favor.
Yeah.
You know, they're thinking like these people, they really think they're going to carry 100 pounds on a hot day uphill to the beach. No, we're going to be so much quicker when we do it less weight, but we're going to be faster. God, it was so bad though. It backfired so badly. Nobody else chose to do that strategy. And even when they had less weights, everybody was still like a foot behind them or a few
They were
yards
all right
behind
there.
them
They were all right.
times. Like they were right there, even with more weight. Nia was like a stone cold killer in that moment. She was just walking, like she was shopping at the mall. Like it wasn't even weights on her.
And I have to say this. So let's say Mark took 60 pounds and Nia took 40 because they were teamed up and they got first place. 60 pounds is, if you go to the gym, it's 2 30-pound weights, which is like, I do dumbbells with them like this. Like it's not
that bad.
Not that bad. And depending on how long the walk is, right? And depending on how long the walk is, maybe it's not. And this is Mark. Like I'm obviously really gangly. I'm smaller than Mark is. So 60 pounds to Mark for him just to walk. Yes, he has a bad knee. I don't think it's that bad for him. And then Nia, like you said, she's a beast. She's carrying 40 pounds. She's carrying 2 20-pound weights. It's not that bad. So I'm surprised Nehemiah and Kellyanne thought that they couldn't do the 100 pounds in the, they didn't know how long it was, but I'm sorry. You got to try to do it all in one at this point.
I think because you have such a small margin of time to figure out what the best strategy is.
Yeah.
You know, and the unknown should have been their biggest red flag of why they shouldn't have taken that strategy. They're like, we don't know how long it is. And it's like, so why would you take that gamble? If it's just uphill and down, sure. But if you don't know that,
what if it's like super long? Because even if it's super, you're right, Jenna, even if it's super long, why would you want to have to walk all the way back and get the rest of it? You're 100% right. And here, I got to give more props to John A. At one point, she talks to Brad and she's like, do you want me to do the 60 and you do the 40? Like, that's how confident she is in being able to carry the 60 pounds because Brad was struggling. You see how big his arms are. So again, I give props where props are due. I'm not going to hold back. John A, even she destroyed this one too. So
you hold back. You give her all the love in the world.
Because I go hard on people when they don't do well. So I have to go hard the other way as well. Nia and Mark.
So like Nia and Kellyanne, it's the strategy was terrible, but again, we're all human. And I feel bad. I can sympathize because Kellyanne is like crying. They're probably kicking themselves in the ass thinking like, we are such assholes. Like I would just be so mad at myself after all of that being like, what were we thinking? And it's not the deficit that Kellyanne needs at this point in the game. She's already 2 behind.
Yeah, you're right. But like, so at the same time here, so we have Nia and Mark finishing first. Then you have Wes and Kayla second.
Yep.
John A and Brad were third, and then Kellyanne and Nehemiah obviously got fourth there. And then I love Wes's line. He says, you know, we've had a long day. You know, we're bangable, but you wouldn't want to brag about it. I thought that was, I mean, he just had so many lines that we're still bangable, but you wouldn't like brag to anybody that you had sex with us. I'm like, it's just like.
Also, it's funny because there's Wes's, like he still has his little ping of cockiness because after the day you've had, I don't really think people really want to get in bed with you, like with all that sweat and stink and gook and everything.
At least he was able to.
Bangable in his mind because
he was humble enough, right?
Oh, just a ping, just a tiny bit of humbleness.
He's humble. Hey, you wouldn't tell anybody you did me, but you know. All right. So here's where it gets a little. I don't know if you like this part of the challenge or you hated this part or what we're going to think of. I'm very excited and interested to hear your take on this.
Don't be too excited. Is it the yacht?
This is the yacht part.
Listen, I think it was very nice that they did that. I'm all for making something a little bit different. You know, we've seen them stand on logs, sleep on the ground, throw up overnight, have snakes, do everything. So I appreciate that it was something different. I didn't mind it. I wasn't mad at it at all, but I don't think it really like brought anything either, because we got a lot of those little vignettes that I was like, okay, let's get back to the final. Like a lot
Jenna,
of, like,
I'm going to read you what I wrote.
more.
I know. You nailed it right with what you said. So I'm going to read you what I said. A bunch of stories I didn't care about. That's what I wrote down for that part. Because I'm like, I don't care why you're here. I know you all have families now. You're all in your 40s. You better have families. I know you want to buy a house. Who wouldn't want to buy a house? Wes wants a Lambo. Yeah, who wouldn't want a nice car? We know all this crap. It's like, stop telling me what I already know. And you waste. That was the one part of this entire season where it's like, fast forward, like we could have. Like, don't go back to season 37 and give me a bunch of stuff that I don't need to hear. Like, get on with the show. Now, what's great about those overnight ones that they usually do is you see people like struggling to stay awake or struggling to stand on a post or struggling to deal with snakes crawling into their beds. Couldn't they have done something on this yacht? The worst case, oh, I got seasick on a yacht. Yeah, but you're in a comfy ass bed. So like, wouldn't it have been like, couldn't they have added something to this? Hey, every hour you need to jump in the water and like wade in the water for 30 minutes. Then you go back to bed. Like, couldn't it have been something like that? Like they could have added something to entertain us a little bit more instead of giving us the storylines of all these people that we already know what they're rooting. We know that Wes is married. We know that they want to buy stuff and have a baby and that it's expensive. We get it. So yeah.
I like that. That would have been a good idea. Maybe they should have added some difficulties there.
Just something.
I am not. Do you get seasick?
I don't. Okay. So I grew up on a lake, as you know.
What? How did I forget?
You set me up for a home run. Thanks, Jenna. I crushed that home run. But I grew up on a lake where there's no tides. I'm getting to it. There's no tides on a lake.
You grew up on a lake.
I know. On my particular lake, it was a small enough lake. You don't have tides. So you can be on a boat and not really get seasick. I went on a Carnival cruise years later and I didn't get seasick, but it was also a huge boat. Huge boat.
Key sick for you?
I didn't get key sick. However, on this small yacht, I might have got key sick. And because the boat is so small, you are moving a lot more. So there's a possibility of getting seasick, yes, but I still think you're in a nice bed, like get over it.
So I am very lucky. I do not get seasick. I love being on boats. I don't give a shit how long I'm out on there. I love it. Don't get seasick. It's amazing. For the people that do, I've heard it is the worst, right, and they hate it. My uncle can't even be on a boat for more than 45 seconds. Like, it is nauseating. It's apparently really, really like a suffering experience. So right, for the people who are getting seasick, I'm like, oh shit, maybe this isn't a luxury. I don't think that was intended. I don't think that was the wrench that the producers were throwing in the plans.
They weren't. Yeah, they didn't like add that in. Like, oh, some will get seasick and not be able to compete the next day. It was literally, it was supposed to be a luxury relaxation for these guys and girls just to relax on. And Wes was upset.
I do feel like it did play into the next day. Like,
it did.
Wes, he powers through and he has that mental strength, but you see Kellyanne's not really feeling it during the crossword puzzle. Yeah. So it actually did have a deficit that we weren't aware of. So that sucks for them, but they got like full-blown breakfast. They got full-blown dinner. I didn't mind it because I'm all for like a caring treat for them, although we didn't get like,
I was waiting for the twist.
Yeah, we didn't get that. We didn't get the, oh my God, this person's falling asleep on the log. But I was there for it because it was new. It was a new taste.
Yes, but also I know how good Wes is at just getting in the zone, like he says, and just performing. And I think that this hurt him a little bit because everybody got to kind of recharge for the next day. Yeah. And maybe that's your conspiracy right there. Did producers do it that way on purpose? Like, Wes is so much better than all these people. Let's be real. He just is overall. He does not have a weakness like the other people do. And we'll get into those weaknesses in a little bit. There's a little tease for you. Maybe so they're like, we need to even this up a little bit and get everybody fresh for the next day.
Or maybe production said, we don't want to fucking stay up all night. So we're also going on our yacht.
They're up all night anyways. They're monitoring anything happening for the, they're up either way. But yeah.
Yeah. So
that's all I have for that. This is where the point system ends. We don't know it at the time, but basically at the end of day one, the points don't matter anymore. The only benefit to getting a higher point range is to not have to go into day two's elimination, which is how we start off day two. And that is the crossword puzzle.
This is how the final redeemed itself, because I was really happy that the point system only mattered to a certain extent. Because
Yeah.
at this point, I'm saying, come on, Nia, you're only 1 point behind Jonna, because I was rooting for Nia. Again, say what you will about, maybe a lack of performance in the regular part of the season, but she was impressing me so much, and she's an underdog, and she's someone who we haven't ever seen win a final. So I was totally rooting for her. She's 1 point behind Jonna, and I'm thinking, what can she do to get that point ahead? But we see that the points only matter because if you're in the lowest in points, then you go into elimination and then they're gone. I'm like, thank God they're gone, because some people were just so outweighing others in the point system that it almost felt like, well, Wes is just gonna win. Don't we know that by now? Like mathematically, it felt like not really anybody's game anymore.
So here's where I wanted to be upset. I wanted to say, well, wait. If John A didn't get those 5 extra points, she'd be in third and have to do a crossword puzzle here. And I think that's bullshit. And then same with Nehemiah. So I did a little bit of math here, and it looks like John A still would have been, at least she's in first place going in here. She would have still been in second. However, Nehemiah, if he was not gifted those 5 points, it looks like Brad would have had a better record than him for sure. Because if you do the math here, Brad had 16 and Nehemiah had 19. If you take away Nehemiah's 5 points, it puts him in the third, and Brad does not have to compete. And this is actually going to be Nehemiah versus Mark. So
that's how the cookie crumbles.
I mean, agree, but I still think the stars should have worked differently from the last episode. Yeah.
Yes, but TJ did say, he said, get your stars. Make sure you get your stars. I don't know if he said, make sure you get the most stars. He just said you want a lot of them.
Yeah, you just said get a lot. So, but that's where my scapegoat comes in, where they can use stars however the hell they want now. If they don't ever specify what you get for the stars, producers can choose on the day. So
I can't believe that they didn't throw them behind them like banana peels in Mario Kart. I mean, that really just would have been a lot better. That would have been the choice.
That's what you wanted. Okay, I know. So
we talked a little bit about the crossword puzzle. Some of the biggest, the bestest part were Kayla and Brad. Unless I'm not taking enough fish oil pills. Thank you for the last commenter who said fish oil pills will help with my memory, because I'm so bad at remembering. Thank you. I don't think I've taken enough yet for it to sink in. But I swear, both Kayla and Brad were spelling out the state of California on their boards, when it was very clearly countries where finals were.
Yes.
You're just shaking your head.
Because the best part is Mark doesn't have a letter S for USA, which is the country he's supposed to have, and not California, obviously, because he used this to spell Brazil.
But I love it though, because Brazil could kind of be like Brazil. I get where his head was at, honestly. I do.
But honestly, no matter how much pressure's on you, Jenna, you knew that Brazil had a Z in it, right?
I don't know about anything ever. I'm the generation.
I'm not a great speller either. I will admit that 100%. But I know that Brazil's got that big old Z in there. I knew that one.
I do. However, I also feel like I know that people say Brazil. So you never know. You never know when that
they say it that
around a little bit.
Phonetically, also, they say it that way.
And what's funny too is that they put the section for USA, the 3 little letter blocks, over North America. So I just felt like that was a very dead giveaway of a hint.
Oh, sure.
But also, the more the obvious things are, I don't really think, I never call America USA. And never. America.
But what else would be that? It's a 3 letters over North America. It only makes sense.
You're right. But I honestly might sit there and be like, what the fuck? What country has 3 letters? I might not think of the acronym. I might not think of it that way. I'd be like,
the other one that was bad was the spelling of Thailand with the TY. I'm surprised someone didn't spell it like TIE, like I'm putting on my tie, like at this point. Like
why in Thailand?
That one seems so you thought that was worse than the Brazil one then?
Yes.
They're both awful. But like I eat a lot of Thai food and it's always THAI. So I'm like, how do you not know that it's not TY?
And it's funny you say that about the Thai food, because every time I want Thai food or Thai tea, I do always have to like make sure I have the I in the right place, because sometimes I do want to slip it after,
But yeah, so either way, like, so those are bad, but it made it so entertaining. I wrote a big haha down.
Okay, here's what I want to talk about of this. How the FUCK underlined 4 times does Kayla win is what I wrote down.
Kellyanne
Because
is that bad at
Kellyanne.
puzzles. She's that bad at, I know you love Kellyanne,
Yeah.
but she's that bad at puzzles. She can't
Kellyanne.
do it.
She should not have been. One, she's been around the challenge game a lot longer and should have more of context clues about all the locations of the final. 2, everyone's saying she's studied this thing fucking through and through. And 3, Kayla, I don't know. I think Kayla must be faking it with her intelligence level as well, because she's always like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Here's the answer.
It's not even
Like,
about.
okay, so why are you always saying that you don't know anything?
If you knew,
then you're playing up.
I mean, yeah, and basically there was only a certain amount of words you can put into that thing. So it's process of elimination as well. If you have USA up there, Argentina up there, and Chile up there, those letters are all in the right places. You have to be able to plug in the rest. But I also think, were they written, USA was written where North America was Thailand written where like over on the Thailand side, over in Asia? It was written near each one.
I think it was like Europe into Asia though. So I think the USA was really the only like dead giveaway that
was it? Okay, it's hard to tell. It was hard to tell.
Yeah, it was hard to tell exactly.
Well, I mean, Thailand was on the right side of the board where Asia is when they show a full map. In theory, they have Africa there in the middle and whatever.
But
so
Thailand's such a big word, and the country images were so small that I think it covered a lot more.
Yeah, it covered too many. You couldn't technically tell that was Thailand. Like it could have been China. It could have been Mongolia over there. Who the hell? But then again, we know that they've never been to China or Mongolia for these things, have they?
Yeah. Also, I think the crossword. Correct me if I'm wrong. When they went over to the answer board, it was just the country letters unscrambled, right? It wasn't like questions, like a traditional crossword.
It was just
in this country, this happened.
Right. It was just the words. It was just the words.
Just the word. Yeah. So that makes it easier too.
For sure.
Then you can kind of, see what letters are supposed to go with each other. I'm also surprised that Mark lost. And I'm, of course, Brad fan, so I was happy he prevailed, but it was not looking good. It wasn't,
but we've seen Brad in the recent history of him on All Stars 2 and 3 get better at puzzles. So I don't know if he's practicing more or he's just getting better like wine at an old age, but he seems to be better at puzzles now.
Yeah, I think he has brains in addition to bronze. He's not just a meathead type of guy, even though he could look like it because he's so muscular. But I'm just speaking from like, he seemed like such a lost puppy. Like I thought he ruled himself out. I thought he checked out. And it was just a matter of time until Mark caught up.
They made it look that way with him. Remember, he said, Nehemiah said he's putting his hands on his head like he's just trying to hold his brain. Like that was pretty funny. I was rooting for Brad 100% though. I'm so over Mark. And another thing about him being on that yacht, he has his stupid little mini him with him and he's talking, oh, tomorrow's a big day, buddy. I'm like, dude, the joke's not funny. I don't care that you have him there. And honestly, the producers gave you, you didn't bring him to the yacht. The producer's like, hey man, do a funny line with your little guy. Like they didn't get to bring their belongings to this yacht. Like they brought, the producers swam him out there.
With your funny guy.
On his shoulder. Mark, they brought their little guys. Oh, we got to bring him out there. Mark's got to say something.
You should have a little puppet. What are they called when you're a puppeteer?
Hand puppet, a puppeteer, a hand puppet.
No, but when you speak the ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Right?
A ventriloquist, yeah. What about it? Yeah.
Okay. I was scared I was going to
I love talking. It's so much fun.
Nope, can't do it.
Come on, give it a shot. All right.
I was really high, the Mark one. That was so bad.
That was really funny. The Mark one? Is that what you just said?
I was so, oh yeah, I actually messed up what I wanted to say. Well, what I said was I was so happy Mark won, but I meant to say I was so happy Mark lost. Anyway,
so we're on our solo race.
She just was like, bye, not my final, goodbye. And I was like, well, I wish you weren't saying goodbye.
I wish she cared a little. I feel like Kellyanne just doesn't, I don't know. She needs to work on her chillness. She needs to chill out. Her weakness is she needs to chill out.
Too chill.
Possibly.
She's too chill. She was so slow in that crossword.
I think she's trying to hard correct it though. She's trying to hard correct her freaking out when she does puzzles. So now she just goes over. She overbalances. She does a hard left when she maybe needs to do like a centrist move. Center it.
to kick things into high gear sometimes. Okay, so they're running, sprinting
All right.
to the food station, which is the worst thing.
But the producers got me, Jenna, because didn't you think when they got there, they had to eat the whole plate?
All of it. Yeah.
I knew they said they only had to eat 2 pounds, which is kind of good because they can kind of pick and choose what looks less gross, even though it all looked gross. But at the same time, I thought they were just weighted at 2 pounds. I didn't realize it was like 4 pounds, 5 pounds. They just had to eat down to 2 pounds. So I thought they'd eat the whole thing. And it made,
I think all the way up until Wes left. Yep. I thought it all the way up until I could visually see that I was wrong. This just felt unsafe. This felt unsanitary. And again, I know it's a TV show, so you can't really do that. Like when they're hanging from a 80-floor skyscraper, you know that they're not going to fall and die. But this, so you know they're not going to like get sick or get a disease from this food. But I don't know. This just looked unhealthy. This looked
so. There's the thought on a lot of people where they watch it. I can't watch this part of the challenge. It's such a waste of time. But I'm like, okay, I agree with you. If there's not good commentary and there's not funny moments happening, it's a waste because you can't enjoy watching it. But I recommend watching it because they were all talking to each other. At one point, the girls started crying. There's just so many examples of moments where you're like, this is so goddamn entertaining, even though it's kind of gross.
I think the food is disgusting, but I never think that it's worth fast forwarding or worth not being a part of it. I think it's huge. It's a huge part of the game.
Yep.
And that really, again, as much as I say, like, I don't really blame anybody for being like, fuck this, count me out. I'm not going to eat it because I might fall victim to that. It's also a time to really rise up. Like, for example, if Nia had just gotten it together, she could have been in the mix and she could have had a chance to win this thing. She was right there. She was performing so well and she couldn't eat the damn food. And that's what it comes down to. And it comes down
I want
to
to give
putting his head down and just shuffling
right.
it in and disassociating from how gross it was. Like, that is a really instrumental time to rise above.
And I want to give Nehemiah props because he's 100% right. When it's just him and Nia left at the food table, she's trying to quit. And he is trying to hype her back into this game. And she's like, do I even have a chance? He's like, it's a final. At this point, anything can happen in these checkpoints. And if she just ate a little bit more and got through the next part of it, she had 100% opportunity. The points didn't matter anymore. To quote, whose line is it anyway, from the early 2000s, the points don't matter at this point. It's over. Like, you could have easily, all you had to do is pass that person. It didn't matter that you were in second or third or fourth place behind John A. It does not matter at this point. Eat that food. And that's what I wrote down for Nia's weakness. I said 100% the food. If she can get through that, she has a 100% opportunity to turn some heads and say, I did not see Nia winning, but they all have their weaknesses. And that was really hers, really bad too.
I'm just looking up a picture of 2 pounds of chicken breasts just to get a better visual.
Sure.
Because there's still so much food. Because I'm thinking like a 6-ounce steak, an 8-ounce steak, that's even a lot. But
and before we all pile on Nehemiah for having this as his weakness, which it is, he hasn't eaten meat, he said, in like 15 years or something like that, right?
That's
a blow for him. I mean,
oh my God, I felt him on that because I'm a vegetarian too. And I'm also thinking 15 years have gone by and he hasn't eaten meat. And even if he gets through this, his body is going to be shattered for days after this. And talk about running after eating 2 pounds of what looks like animal feces, what looks like the darkest, it's just the most unattractive, unsanitary type of animal meat you should never eat. You have to run and compete and use your brain and swim and do all these things. Not even thinking about the poor aftermath of Nehemiah for days is probably like throwing up and on the toilet.
Yeah. So Brad said when he was eating food, then all of a sudden he had blood coming up because one of the hearts he possibly ate bursted when it came up. Someone said, is this a used condom? I mean, there were so many great lines though.
I think that was Brad.
They played a song when it was down to somebody. There was a really fun song in there that was like really motivational. And then all of a sudden the song cuts out and one of them pukes. Like, it was just like stuff like that. It made it so entertaining.
They did play How Bizarre, which I love. How Bizarre
played. I mean, such great stuff. Wes finished first. John A finishes second. She finishes before Brad, who's third. I mean, again, I got to give John A her props. She beat out Brad and Nehemiah, and obviously all the other girls.
I think
Kayla came in fourth. So that was basically Nehemiah and Nia. They were never finishing this shit. So it was down to 4 people at this point. Let's be honest.
I know.
They were done.
And I love when Nehemiah and Nia do make it to the beach and they see Brad and Kayla.
Yeah.
And Brad, Kayla, and Nehemiah just like sitting in the sand, just
Reminiscing.
reflecting on the experience, being super cute, all saying like, we're so proud of each other and we'll never get to do something. This is a once in a lifetime. And Nehemiah is just like kicking sand and seashells in the ocean by himself.
But that was so entertaining, right? These guys are just entertaining. It was that part was great. I love that part. We're almost there though. The next thing they have to do is a star puzzle, grab a surfboard, then
without
do
the star puzzle. Like,
I don't know why they needed that part of it.
Shapes are not engaging. Yeah.
Then they had to do a building blocks puzzle. I think they were just trying to equalize it as much as they could. Maybe John A or Wes will get caught up in a puzzle because sometimes it's like you solve it right away. And then sometimes you get in your head too much. You can never solve it. So maybe they were just hoping we do 2 more puzzles. One of them might get caught up and then that'll give an opportunity for Brad or Kayla to catch up.
Yeah, but it needs to be a more fun, more creative puzzle, not just like the put shapes together.
Here's another conspiracy for you, Jenna. They purposely showed John A's building block puzzle fall to make it seem like Kayla's even got a chance to catch up at this point. She was nowhere close because when John A finished her puzzle, you see Kayla's, because they show it in the side, she's got her first line done. And I'm like, no one's catching up to these people in the water. And then they even said, oh, once she finished, Kayla finished, oh, maybe I'll catch up to John A in the water. They made it seem like they were close. They were probably already on the boat when the other 2 entered the water, Brad and Kayla, to catch up to those 2. It wasn't close at all.
It was a long paddle too, in beautiful water, by the way. This
beautiful.
was gorgeous. I was like, wow, that is beautiful. But also that was a long ass paddle on that surfboard that Wes is just kind of like,
he wasn't in a rush. He's like, where's Brad? Oh, Brad's getting into the water now. I'm probably okay.
And
Tide, don't take me away.
I know that in my heart of hearts and my smartest brains, but I still have to have a little bit of naive hope. I'm like, maybe Brad could just speed paddle.
If you remember, Brad lost to Wes back in the day in another final as well. And then, yes, I wanted Wes to win, so I didn't want Brad to be close. But when Kayla got into the water, I was like, oh, maybe Kayla's close to John A, because I still was, in theory, rooting for Kayla to just.
You were? No.
Yeah, I was. Even like I said, I'm never going to be rooting for John A, but maybe something will change. I don't know. I just, for some reason, I think of her still from the old challenges where she just was in the way and she's like, I'm like, why you don't even try? Why do you? No, she was. Shocking.
I like old John A.
Old John A sucked. She never came prepared into the challenge. She was there to party and hook up, which I appreciate. I am Danny Drama, but she never brought her A game. She brought a C-, D+ game, and that's lucky because she failed every time she entered the damn show.
I disagree slightly because I was rewatching Rivals, and her and Jasmine did win the first challenge as well as almost the second. But there was a little malfunction in their equipment, and they were fun and entertaining and a huge group to watch the entire time. And also when she was on with Zach, I felt like Zach was so mean to her, and she definitely.
That's different though. Yeah, that's different.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I liked the old John A. I felt like I was having recency bias against her for the fact that she wanted to quit in the puzzle in All Stars 2, but because Tech and Ayana quit first, producers were just like, no, you still go. Just go to the final. You don't even have to finish. Like, don't worry about it. You guys didn't finish and everyone else did. Just shut your brains off, cool out. You can still go to the final. And then she ends up winning. So that to me kind of felt like
we've talked so much. We talked so much about that controversy. There's so much controversy to that.
So I still was kind of like, oh, here we are again. But she won this season fair and square, and she performed wonderfully. And
and she even went into it. She did an elimination. She went into an elimination. She outlasted Beth. It's not like she didn't see an elimination. She did that too. I give her 100% props. I give Wes 100% props. And Wes even said it in his talking head confessional moment. He said, John A is not the same competitor she was back in the day. He felt the same way we have, or at least I've been talking about it for the last 3 seasons about Jonna and how she's like, something is different now because she never was good back in the day. And he even admitted it. He said he basically said she sucked back in the day. Let's be real. He's like, she's not the same competitor. She's good now.
I still feel like even the people that sucked, and I don't think she totally sucked. I think that she had moments. But even the people that sucked, there still was something about them that was fun for them to be around. You know, like
I enjoyed watching her.
Now the people that suck athletically also suck at being a reality TV person or are trying too hard and suck at politics and suck at having fun. So now the suck is just suckier.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Jenna. That's exactly what it is. And we are going to hopefully be surprised by the Challenge 38. So Wes and Jonna both take home $250,000. Wes gets on the boat and he says his classic line, which he said on our show as well on our YouTube channel. Well, well, well. And that's how he's making it his catchphrase, which is fine. I love it. I laughed out loud. I know you don't like that, but I loved it.
I just don't think it's strong enough to be a catchphrase.
Well, he's making it his catchphrase.
It's okay. I'm going to let him live.
He does it all over his cameos that he does for people. Anytime he does a cameo, he'll do it there. Well, 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 if it isn't Jenna's birthday, and he'll just go on. And
all right. That's cute then. Good for you, Wes.
Good for you, Wes. I wrote down the weaknesses of the 4 people that made it to this end part of the final but didn't win, because I think that this is why Wes and Jonna deserve to win. Nehemiah can't eat, and I don't think he's the best at running, because I think even the Jonna passed him in the running part for like one of the last things. Nia can't.
Race situation happening.
What's that?
He has like that tape on his legs.
I mean, hey, he's getting older and his knees are bad. I mean, my knees will probably be bad too because I have smaller legs when I get older. Yeah. Nia can't eat. I'm really gangly, Jenna. All right. I have long legs.
Okay.
Brad can't run long distances. And I wrote, Kayla doesn't pay attention to detail. So I put for Kayla.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you probably have other weaknesses. That was just what I wrote down for them, just because I really think that Jonna and Wes deserve to win.
Yeah, agreed. I think the weakness is probably like mental strength for a few of them, like Nia, for not being able to eat. That's huge. She's lost her stake in the game. Kayla, I don't know how she pulls off these puzzles and riddles and mind games and whatnot. I think she's playing up being like more spacey than she is. When Wes came on the boat, it was giving me Rivals 2 vibes, because that's how him and Wes won in that one. They CT, right? Wes and Wes.
I got you. Well. Is it if it's not my twin?
Yeah. But then they just like, it was episode, like how Pam left our show last week and like the hardest out ever. She was just like, goodbye.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. I was like, oh shit. All right. Okay. Bye. Like, good luck with your money. Like, there was like, we won. Yes. Show over. Goodbye. Credits roll.
Yeah. They did do that thing on the beach with the other 3 to say like, hey, it was a great season. We learned a lot from ourselves. We obviously made our weekly paycheck, which they obviously don't mention, but they got a weekly paycheck for lasting as long as they did. Maybe they even get a little bonus for making the finals, like an NFL player does for making a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, like, I think that there's money. They still get some money. They're doing all right for lasting that long. Yeah, it sucks not to win, because let's be real. What are the taxes taken out on $250,000? It's still got to be $180,000. Like, it's got to be an insane amount of money still.
This economy, give it. They're like, oh, you're a reality TV star? No, sorry, we need that.
But still, even winning, say it's $150,000. Like, tell us in the comments below. I'm sure someone knows how much they make off of $250,000.
How would they know? No offense.
You can look it up. I bet you can look how much is taxed.
Oh, okay.
Jenna, look up how much is taxed on $250,000.
Oh, I thought it was like in contract for reality television. Like.
Oh, really? I think they're taxed on it. I think they're definitely taxed on the $250K that they win.
Would it be like an income tax? That's what my question is.
Oh, I don't know. I was just going to write in tax.
Like, how do they tax it? That's what I'm saying. It was like a different percent based off of.
Yeah. So maybe don't look it up. But either way, someone will tell us in the comment section.
Okay, let's see. TV stars get taxed.
Oh my, this is
for
exciting
their
stuff.
winnings.
I also want to know in the comment section below, do you want to see an All-Stars 4? Is there anybody, any contestants that you haven't seen in the first 3 seasons, or do you want Big Easy to come back like he did from the first season? Is there any people you want to see come back for All-Stars 4? That's a huge one.
If you agree to keep your prize and pay California state income tax, the next step is that CBS mails you a bill for 7% of your prize winning. So for example, like if you're a 1099 worker, what isn't it like 12% or something? So that's a little bit different. So that's why I don't know.
Well, either way. So, but
yeah,
Jenna, do you want to see an All-Stars 4?
I do. I want to see.
Is there anybody you want to see come back? Because I don't think we haven't seen Landon, right? Or have we seen Landon?
I don't know if he's ever going to come back. The thing is, I think the cast that the All-Stars has landed with a lot of these repeat All-Star competitors over the last 3 seasons is because of availability and people answering the call.
100%. Yeah.
You got to think, of course they called Landon, but he's not.
Did they call Tanya? Did they call Tanya?
I don't know.
Did they get desperate enough to call Evan and?
Oh no!
What's the gorgeous guy name? What was his? Evan and Kenny. Thank you, Mr. What do you call himself? Mr. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think Tony. What about having Tony come in? Tony time. Maybe it's Tony time. I bet it's finally Tony time.
I'd rather see him on the flagship before All-Stars.
I'm just trying to
Let's
think.
not get crazy with the All-Stars name. Like, it's even that Sylvia was on All-Stars was like,
I know, but he had that one season where he screwed over Bananas, and I'll never forget it, and I loved it.
Yeah, no, Tony was amazing television. Like,
he was
back like this. Come here, my cheating child. Like, I would just
him cheating on buses.
I'm sure some of the people who I'm sure that they've likely reached out to who haven't come back is like Paula, Emily, Evelyn, like they.
Do you want to see, I just had her name, throwing chairs and she's racist. What's her? Camilla.
No, Camilla's.
You're done with Camilla.
Right. Camilla's done. Camilla's so done.
They can bring back anybody they want, racist or not. They're not like.
She punched a production assistant on top of her racist.
I'm not saying that she's right, or I'm not saying she's right in what she did or said, but they could technically bring back anybody they want.
No, what I'm saying is that they wouldn't.
Right.
Based off, if they cancel D, they're not bringing back Camilla.
No, I get it, but I just asked if you wanted to see her though. Because I want to see her. Yes. Who cares? Like, I care that she's racist, but I want to see her on the show. Don't you? She's entertaining as hell. Or she was.
I don't know. I know a lot of.
Tell us in the comments section. Do you want to see Camilla, or as what she's done? It's just like, I get she's racist and I don't condone it, but at the same time, she makes good TV.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of years have passed. I like to think that people can change and educate themselves. And Camilla,
but then again,
a lot of tempered issues. Like, it wasn't even just.
She's got a kid now. We know she has a kid. We saw her. Oh yeah, remember we saw her lick her child's face, and there was controversy all over the internet about it.
I don't remember that at all.
I feel like
fish oil. Fish oil.
I sent it to you and Pamela. I know I did. But yeah, she was crying and everything. Like,
I probably saw Camilla and was like, no.
All right. I think that about wraps it up. Do you have any final thoughts on season 3 of All Stars? Are you happy with who won?
It's a good season.
Good season. Okay. And you're happy that Wes won. You like Wes now. I know you have your problems with Wes. I think Wes
I love Wes's character and my emotional up and down with Wes.
And that's what matters. That's okay. Now we're in. All right. And I think everything Wes did this season was absolutely perfect. I thought he nailed it. His character was awesome. He was hilarious. Yeah. So that's how I'll go the other end of the spectrum on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see again. I know that they have made those calls, but there's just a lot of people that I'd like to see.
Okay.
Of the people that I mentioned, like
Right.
Paula, Evelyn, Emily.
They have a big enough talent pool. The question is, are they really all-stars or not? That's always the question, right? They can find somebody that'll come on. It's like Adam from Real World Paris. I'm pretty sure we get Adam back.
Wait, hey, Adam was
with the big bushy hair, with the big bushy hair. Yeah.
He held his own totally. He had strengths.
He's not an all-star. Well, that's actually a
what's the
definition? What's the definition?
But Tyler was an all-star,
He actually won more finals than you think, though. They were the group finals, mind you, but he did win.
I mean, I guess that there's like, even as much as I dislike him, would you count Zach as an all-star? Would you keep him on MTV? Same thing with Jenna. Would you keep both of them on MTV rather than coming on the all-star side?
I would invite both Zach and Jenna to all-stars for 100%. I want them there at the same time, though. I want something to happen. But they have kids now. They probably don't even.
Right, the childcare. How they both got up and left their kids.
Yeah, they'll break even money-wise because they have to pay for the childcare every week.
Yeah, or just dump them with
that's grandma. A lot. They can't at least when John A comes here, like her husband's still there to take care of the kids. Like both parents gone, like 5 kids, no parents there.
And children, we have to go film TV stuff.
I guess if grandma's around, if they love grandma, I always loved staying with my grandma. She was fun, and grandpa, they were fun.
Like show business kids, like I'm sure actors and musicians and celebrities.
Oh yeah,
their thing. That's why they got the nannies.
You gotta have a nanny.
Gotta have the nannies.
All right. Well, I really enjoyed this season. Obviously, tell us in the comments section below what you thought of the season. # Pamela lives. If you're still watching, she couldn't get her internet working tonight at all. So there goes Pam again. That's an example of what happened. And then definitely check out our YouTube channel and our Patreon because we're going to be covering the Challenge USA, which premieres tonight. And we're going to cover it either tomorrow or Friday. We don't really know. We'll figure it out.
Challenge America or United States, as most of us say.
Yeah. No one said, see, and there you go. That was their promotion for the new show. They had USA in the final there, and then bam, it carries over to tonight when it's going to be on. All right. We'll see y'all for another episode real soon on our YouTube and our Patreon. Bye.